want to look at the soil pH. What is exactly soil pH? In defining what is soil pH, we say it is a measure of acidity and or alkalinity in the soil. We have what we call a pH table, usually ranges from 0 to 14. And from 0 to 14, as we increase this way, we say we are increasing the pH. Increasing the pH means we are increasing the alkaline, while we reduce the acidity. So acidity starts from slightly above 7. 7 is the neutral. Then it decreases to 1 to 0. It means the smaller the number, the pH number, the higher the acidity. On the other hand, from 7, which is neutral, up to 14, the alkalinity keep on increasing. Now, most of the crops in this planet, most of them grow in a region of slightly acidic soil, which ranges from 5.5 to around 7 point something to neutral. That is the area that most of the crops grow. Though we may have very selective crops that may favor acidity, high acidity, others alkalinity, but most of the crops will grow under that. What are the effects of having an acidic soil? What happens with acidic soils? This means below 5, that there may be toxicities of some of nutrients, majorly aluminium. We may have toxicity of hydrogen, and we may have toxicity of manganese. What happens with those toxicities? Toxicity damage the roots. The roots are the avenue, are the channels in which the plant nutrients and water are absorbed from the soil level up to the plant cells. So it damages the roots and therefore even the nutrient uptake of nutrients. Also, it's a major. Roots are the anchor that hold the crops that are together. If you damage them, it means you are damaging and anchoring it. Number 2, nutrient deficiency. At a very high acidity, when the acidity, we have a lot of acidities. Calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus may be unavailable. For example, when you have a lot of acidity in the soil, nutrient phosphorus may be available in the soil, but it is not absorbed, it is locked. Another thing, effect of acidity is the microorganism. Remember we said one characteristic of the soil is the physical properties, which include the microorganism in the soil. So if we have very high acidity, not many of the microorganisms will survive under that. So they are affected, and you know the role the microorganism play, especially the beneficial microorganism. The effect of basic alkaline. In this case, it may be almost similar to this, but in another way. Some nutrients, especially phosphorus, may be unavailable. If you look at I did a test for a soil from Somalia, and I found that the pH is very high. It's alkaline soil, and the phosphorus is very low. Another, molybdenum on the other side increases with the pH. Other nutrients like zinc, aluminium, copper, manganese decreases as the pH or acidity increases. How do you manage the pH? Acidic soil. For acidic soil, do liming. Liming include agricultural lime, aromatic lime. Put it in the farm, and definitely will correct that. Then you may use other like wood ash for a small plot, and always make sure that your soil is rich in organic matter. How do you arrest alkaline soil? How do you bring them to a suitable growing pH? What we are saying is use acidifying agent. Acidifying agents include elemental sulfur. They dissolve and they release Another thing is use acidifying fertilizers. Which are these acidifying fertilizers? For example, ammonium sulfate, ammonium nitrate, and urea will help you to correct alkaline soil. Finally, use acidifying organic material like bitumus in your farm. So, in a nutshell, what you are saying, it's good to take a soil test, look at the pH, and from the analysis, know how to correct the pH. These are the effect of the pH. So the next class you may look at is other tests that you can do. For example, the soil pathology screen. Why do you need to do that test? But for now, just try to understand the soil test, the soil pH, the nutrient availability, and how you can use all that report. Thank you very much. Good morning. Okay, my name is Microorganism, and today being the 31st of March, I want to take you through what we call the soil testing, and then we understand the purpose. So we are saying a soil test or a soil analysis. We have different sectors that do soil analysis. In construction, we have soil analysis for the yard purpose, and in agriculture. And in my area, I want to talk about agriculture, soil testing. What is that? What is soil testing? It's a process. It's a chemical process that we test the characteristic or properties of soil. Remember, soil have different characteristics, physical, chemical, and biological. At the chemical point of view, we should talk about the pH, the nutrient in the soil, the CEC, or cation exchangeable capacity, the EC, electrical conductivities. Those are the chemicals. In terms of physical properties, we should talk about the texture, structure, porosity. Those are the physical, the air, the temperature, what we call aeration. In the biological part of it, we should talk about two things, the organic matter and the microorganism in the soil. Remember, we have two different types of microorganisms in the soil. Some beneficial, some not beneficial. So those are the characteristics, meaning from the characteristic, we may have several tests of soil. You may decide to do a soil pH and nutrient soil test, which I'll majorly talk about. You may do a soil structure. You may go ahead and do soil pathology to ascertain the kind of disease-causing microorganisms that are in the soil. You may also do nematode analysis. Today, I want to deal so much on the soil nutrient and the pH. So, why should you do a pH or a nutrient soil test? A soil test. The aim is, the one objective is, we want to determine the amount of nutrients, of each nutrient available in the soil, either being available in deficit or in a low amount or in excess. In soil, we say we have nutrients. In soil, we may have several nutrients available. Some may be heavy metal, maybe like aluminium. Other are beneficial that are needed by plant nutrient. Plant nutrient may need more than 16 nutrients for it to optimal growth. These nutrients range from nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium, magnesium, which are the macro. Micro include manganese, copper, chlorine, boron, and molybdenum. All these the crop need. So we find that inherently, naturally, most of the soil may have one or those nutrients available in the soil in a certain amount. That is why we do soil test. Another thing that we do the soil test, we want to know the pH of the soil. The pH is a major factor in crop production. which I will explain later. Then, why do we use, now assume we get the result. How do you use the result? After now testing the soil and getting the result, it will help us to come up with what we are calling the fertilizer program, which will be based on the result, the available nutrient and the pH available. For instance, if we do an analysis that tells us we have inadequate phosphorus, it tells me that when I'm doing a fertilizer program, I must consider phosphorus. So I must factor in phosphorus as a macronutrient, the amount that I should put in the soil. So that helps you. Assume we have maybe excess of calcium. It tells me, depending on the crop that I'm going to grow, either I may avoid calcium or I may put or apply an amount that is not so much. So that's how it helps you in determining, in making what we are calling a fertilizer program. Most of the farmers, what we do, we use a general formula that at planting, use DAP. The first top dress, use CAN. And the third top dress, use perhaps 17. That is a general, which in most cases we go wrong. I have done a soil test for one of my clients, and I found that phosphorus was in excess. But in every season, those farmers use DAP in planting. So at the end of the day, you accelerate the acidity in the soil. So what you are saying is, do soil test. There are various of them. Today we talked about the pH and nutrients. From the result, we'll be able to know the nutrients available and the pH of the soil. Then that one will help us in making the fertilizer program, and two, putting anything that may amend the soil. And this one, I want now to talk in the next topic about the soil pH. Thank you very much.